Alright, for this example we're going to look at how we can make a bar chart or a line chart of means, and we're going to use this flight of an aeroplane data. So if you remember this data from the paper, I've copied it into Excel. We've got all of our parameters from A to F, and we've recoded the data as lows and highs. And so I've given an example with A and D, and I've also put the data in for B. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to F, which doesn't have anything, and I'm going to give you an example of how you can put the data in. So we're going to get all the information for F. So if we go down here, I'm going to first copy F, so copy. I'm just going to paste values. So if we choose this option here, I need the trial number. Copy, paste values, and the last thing is the flight time. Alright, so now I've got all my data. For my low and my high, I want to use the average function, but these need to be in order. So to sort them, I'm going to highlight from low down to the bottom, choose sort and filter under the home tab, and say from Z to A because L comes after H, so I want the low first and then the high. So you can see it's alphabetized, and by highlighting all three columns, it's rearranged all the data together, so it keeps the rows the same. And the reason I have F first is because I want to alphabetize by this particular column, and that column needs to be on the left. So let's go ahead and do our averages. So I'm going to use the average function in Excel for my low, and I want the average flight time. And do the same thing for high. Okay, standard deviation, same thing. I'm going to use the sample standard deviation, which is the stdev.s, and highlight the data for low. Okay, and for standard error, the standard error is just the standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. So I'm going to put in this divided by. Now you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I could put the square root of 8. But I'm going to use a count function to count how many things I have. Okay, so you could just type in 8, or you can use this function that I have, and it's called count function. So I'm going to highlight those, and that should count that there's 8 things. Close my bracket around my square root and hit enter. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So my standard deviation divided by the square root of 8. You could put the number 8 in there, or you can use the count function like I'm doing. So I'm going to count how many highs there are. Okay, and the last thing is I want 1.96 standard errors because this is from a normal distribution, and if data is normally distributed, we know from a normal distribution table that 95% of the observations should be within 1.96 standard deviations or standard errors from the mean. So since we're dealing with the mean, we're using standard error rather than standard deviation. So if we do 1.96 times the standard error that we just calculated, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that across and just double check that it's done it right, and it has. Okay, so we've got our statistics now. So to create our graph, I'm going to highlight the low and the high, insert column bar chart. Okay, I don't need this series, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. If I click on the chart and go to layout and error bars, more error bar options, I want to put in custom values because I want to specify what I want. So for the positive and error, we're going to put the positive and negative, we're putting the same exact data, so make sure to delete what's there. Okay, then we're going to highlight both the low and the high. So this is my positive error, that's from the mean to the top, and then for the negative error, I'm going to delete that as well, highlight the same thing. So I want the same value added to the mean and the same value subtracted from the mean, so that gives me the high and the low, and click OK. So you'll notice here that this one's a bit wider than this one, and that's right because this value is a bit bigger than the other one. So those are our standard our confidence interval error bars on our bar chart of means. I would obviously need to put in a title here, and if I wanted to, I could make this a line chart by saying change series and choosing the line option. I'll choose the one with bubbles in it. Okay,